Okay, so let's start with a scenario that I think every single EV owner knows intimately.
Well,
You've had a long day, you're driving home, and it hits you, you forgot to plug in last night. You're watching that range estimate just drop and drop 10 miles, 8,
mm,
5. You pull up an app to find a charger, and of course, the nearest one is broken,
of
and
course.
the next nearest one has a line of like 3 cars.
That is the dreaded infrastructure gap. It really is the Achilles heel of the whole electric transition right now. We have the cars, but the plugs just aren't always where we need them to be.
Exactly. It's that moment of panic where you realize the whole gas station model, this idea that you have to go somewhere to get fuel, is failing you.
Right.
But what if you didn't have to go anywhere? I mean, imagine if the fuel just showed up where you were parked.
Mm.
Today, we're unpacking a business that is trying to make that a reality. We're looking at an entity called Sacramento Mobile EV Charging Solutions.
And their digital footprint, which is sacramentomobileevecharging.com, is a very specific, a very localized case study. But I think it represents a huge pivot in how we're thinking about energy logistics.
So let's just lay out what this is. We aren't talking about some massive nationwide network like Tesla superchargers.
No, not at all.
We are talking about a service that is hyper-local just for Sacramento, and the core promise is right there in the name: mobile.
Right. And while that sounds simple, like ordering a pizza, the logistics behind mobile energy are actually incredibly complex.
Yeah.
We really need to unpack why a business like this exists and if it's actually a viable model or just, say, a luxury convenience.
Well, let's start with the obvious appeal: convenience. I mean, the Uberification of everything is pretty standard now.
It is.
We get groceries delivered, laundry picked up. It feels almost inevitable that charging would go this route. But you said the logistics are complex, so why isn't this everywhere already?
Well, think about the physics of it. If you order a burrito, the driver brings you a burrito. It weighs a pound, fits in the passenger seat.
Sure.
If you order a charge for your EV, you are asking one vehicle to transport enough energy to move another vehicle hundreds of miles. You're essentially moving a microgrid on wheels.
So you can't just throw a portable generator in the back of a Prius and call it a day.
Oh, definitely not, no.
Right.
I mean, you could, but it would be loud and dirty and slow. It would just defeat the whole purpose of driving an EV. What Sacramento Mobile EV Charging Solutions is offering, based on that EV in the name, implies a sophisticated battery-to-battery transfer system, or maybe high-capacity clean generation.
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing with heavy loads, thermal management, safety regulations. It's not just a delivery service. It's a hazardous materials handling service, in a way.
Which brings us to the specific market here. They've planted their flag in Sacramento. We see it in the URL. We see it in the name. Why Sacramento? Is there something specific about that geography that makes mobile charging more viable than, I don't know, San Francisco or New York?
Geography is the key variable here. Absolutely. Sacramento is spread out. It gets hot, which affects battery range. But more importantly, it has a lot of office parks and, suburban sprawl.
Okay.
In a dense city like New York, a mobile charging truck would get stuck in traffic and have nowhere to double park to charge you.
Mm-hmm.
But in Sacramento, you have these massive parking lots, driveways, office complexes.
Right, so the truck can actually pull up next to you without blocking an entire lane of traffic.
Exactly. It's an access game. But there's also an infrastructure argument. Installing a fixed level 3 fast charger it's a nightmare of permitting, trenching, and grid upgrades.
Oh, yeah.
It can cost tens of thousands of dollars just to break ground.
Yeah.
A mobile service completely bypasses all that construction. They don't need to dig up the pavement at your office. They just drive a truck onto it.
That's a really interesting point. It kind of turns infrastructure into software, basically.
Yeah.
It's flexible. You can move the chargers to where the demand is instead of hoping the demand comes to your fixed charger.
Precisely. And that flexibility is what makes this specific business model so fascinating. If you look at their name again, they aren't calling themselves Sacramento Emergency Charging. They're calling themselves Solutions.
I wanted to drill down on that word solutions. It feels a little like corporate speak, but you think there's more to it?
I do. In this industry, solution usually signals that they aren't just targeting the individual driver who, messed up their range calculation.
Yeah.
That's a B2C model, business to consumer.
Right.
And that's hard to scale because, frankly, people don't run out of battery that often. Solutions almost always implies B2B, business to business.
Ah, so like fleet management.
Bingo. Imagine you run a delivery company in Sacramento. You have, say, 50 electric vans.
Right.
Do you really want to pay to install 50 fast chargers at your depot? Do you even have the grid capacity for that?
Probably not, no.
So you hire Sacramento Mobile EV charging solutions to just come by at night and top everyone off.
Ah,
They act as your mobile fueling station. The solution is that they manage the energy so the fleet manager doesn't have to. It turns a massive capital expenditure building chargers into a simple operating expense, paying for a service.
that makes the whole business model make a lot more sense because I was thinking, if I'm just a regular person, am I really going to pay a premium for a truck to come to my house when electricity is cheap?
Well, you might in an emergency. If you're stranded on the side of the highway, this service is a lifesaver. It's basically AAA for the electric age.
True.
And in that context, price doesn't really matter. You just want to get home. But for a sustainable daily business, they need volume. And that volume comes from fleece or, say, corporate campuses.
Or for campuses. So you mean like a perk. Work for us and we'll charge your car while you're in meetings.
Right. And again, look at the URL, sacramentomobileevecharging.com.
Yeah.
It's so accessible, it's direct. If I'm a facilities manager at some big tech office in Sacramento and my employees are complaining there aren't enough charging spots, I'm not going to start a project to dig up the parking lot.
No way.
I'm going to Google Sacramento Mobile EV charging.
And boom, there they are. It just fills that gap between no chargers and a huge construction project.
It creates a buffer. It relieves the pressure on the grid and on the real estate. You mentioned earlier that anxiety of finding a charger that works. This model just inverts that. You don't find the charger is scheduled. It changes your whole relationship with energy from hunting to receiving.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate for a second. Is this actually efficient? I mean, you're driving a heavy truck, which is presumably burning fuel or using a massive battery itself just to charge another battery. Isn't there a lot of, loss in that system?
That is the big criticism of mobile charging, the round-trip efficiency. If the mobile unit is diesel-powered, then you're essentially charging a clean car with dirty fuel. We don't know the specific specs of their fleet from the name alone, but the industry trend is definitely moving toward battery electric trucks charging electric cars.
So a big battery on wheels charging a smaller battery on wheels.
Yes. And while there are transmission losses, you have to compare it to the alternative. And the alternative is a driver going 10 miles out of their way to find a fast charger, sitting there for 40 minutes, and then driving all the way back.
That's a lot of lost time and energy, too.
That's the dwell time argument, exactly. What is your time worth? If Sacramento Mobile EV charging solutions can charge your car while you're doing something else, working, sleeping, shopping, they are selling you your time back. For a lawyer or consultant in Sacramento, paying, say, a $20 premium to not sit in a Walmart parking lot for an hour is a no-brainer.
So it's a premium service for individuals, but it's a logistical necessity for fleets.
That's the sweet spot. And the fact that this website even exists, that there is a dedicated business for this in Sacramento, it shows the market has matured enough to support these specialized players. A few years ago, this was just a concept. Now it's a service you can actually book.
I want to go back to the solution aspect, but this time regarding the grid. We know California has grid stability issues, especially during heat waves in a place like Sacramento. Does mobile charging help or hurt that?
See, that's where it gets really interesting. If these mobile units charge up at night, when power is cheap and abundant, and then dispense that power during the day when the grid is stressed, they are effectively acting as a decentralized power plant.
Oh, wow. So they're like energy arbitrage on wheels.
Potentially. Again, we're extrapolating from the word solution, but that is where the industry is heading. Instead of everyone plugging in at 5 p.m. when they get home and crashing the grid,
Right.
these mobile units can distribute energy that was stored at 3 a.m. They smooth out the demand curve.
So Sacramento Mobile EV charging solutions isn't just solving a problem for the driver. They could be solving a problem for the utility company.
In theory, yes. They are a buffer. And in a place like Sacramento, which is really leading the charge pun intended on EV adoption, having these kinds of buffers is critical. You can't just keep adding load to the grid without managing it. And mobile storage is one way to manage it.
It really reframes the whole concept. I think most people see a mobile charger and think, oh, that's for when I mess up and run out of battery. But you're describing a completely new layer of the energy infrastructure.
It's the last mile of energy. We talk about the last mile in delivery, getting the package from the distribution center to your door. This is the last mile of electricity, getting it from the substation to your car without you having to go to a fixed node.
So what about the competition? Because right now, the competition is the fixed charger. The supercharger, the Electrify America station. Do you think mobile charging ever replaces those, or is it always going to be more of a niche thing?
It won't replace the highway fast charger. If you're driving from Sacramento to LA, you need a high-speed pit stop.
Yeah.
You're not going to wait for a van to meet you at a rest stop.
No.
So mobile doesn't solve the road trip problem.
Right. It solves the destination problem.
Exactly. It solves the problem of, I live in an apartment complex that refuses to install chargers.
Right.
Or I park on the street. Or I work in an old building. In those cases, mobile isn't just a niche. It's the only viable option for owning an EV.
That's a huge demographic. I mean,
Yeah.
huge. If EV adoption is ever going to go beyond homeowners with garages, we absolutely need something like this.
We do. We call it the garage orphan problem. All the people who want EVs but just don't have a dedicated plug. Sacramento Mobile EV Charging Solutions is directly targeting that demographic. They're basically saying you don't need a garage. You just need our phone number or our URL.
It democratizes the tech. You don't have to own property to own the car.
And that is vital for a city like Sacramento. It's a diverse place. Not everyone lives in a single-family home with a 200-amp panel.
Yeah.
If the city actually wants to hit its green goals, they need services like this to bridge that gap.
Let's look at the operational side again. The website, sacramentomobilevecharging.com, it's very functional, very direct. Does that tell you anything about who they're targeting?
It tells me they're practical. They aren't trying to be a lifestyle brand.
Right.
They aren't trying to be the Nike of charging. They're a utility service. It's like a plumber. You don't look for a cool plumber. You look for Sacramento plumber.
You look for the one that shows up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The lack of flash in the branding, just based on the URL, suggests reliability is their core product.
Yeah.
And in the energy world, boring is good. You want your charging solution to be boring. You want it to just work.
Boring is good. I like that. But the implications are exciting. If this works in Sacramento, does it scale? Are we going to see Des Moines mobile EV charging solutions next year?
I think we'll see a fragmented market for a while. Local operators who really know the territory. It's hard to run a national fleet of these trucks because the logistics are so local. You need to know the traffic patterns, the parking regulations, the grid hotspots in every single neighborhood. Sacramento Mobile EV Charging Solutions has that home field advantage.
So it's almost like a franchise model waiting to happen. Local knowledge plus mobile tech.
Or maybe the big economy. But right now, it looks like a dedicated service provider. And I think that solutions, part of their name, is the key to their survival. If they just sell electricity, they lose on margin. Electricity is cheap. But if they sell reliability, uptime, and convenience, then they can charge a premium.
It's the difference between selling coffee beans and selling a hot latte delivered right to your desk.
It's a value-added service. That's the only way the math on this works.
So we've got a business that is filling the infrastructure gap. It's serving the garage orphans. It's potentially helping the grid and saving fleets money. It sounds like a total slam dunk. What are the risks? What could kill Sacramento Mobile EV charging solutions?
Battery technology improvements, that's the paradox.
How so?
Well, if the next generation of EVs has a 600-mile range and charges in 5 minutes, a lot of the anxiety just disappears. If I only have to charge my car once every 2 weeks and it only takes 5 minutes, I probably don't need a mobile service. I'll just go to the station like I did with my gas car.
So they're bridging a gap that might eventually close on its own.
It might. But that gap is going to exist for at least another 10 to 15 years. And even then, there will always be the convenience factor. I mean, people still order pizza delivery, even though they could go pick it up.
That's true. Laziness or efficiency, depending on how you look at it, usually wins.
And fleets. Fleets will always need logistics support. I don't see Amazon or FedEx wanting to manage thousands of individual plugs if they can just outsource it.
Right.
So the B2B side of solutions is likely the long-term play here.
That makes sense. Pivot to the B2B side as the consumer tech catches up.
It's a classic business evolution. You start with the early adopters who are desperate for any charge. Then you sell into the industrial contracts that actually pay the bills.
And in the meantime, for those of us in Sacramento right now, just seeing that URL sacramentomobilevecharging.com is a bit of a safety blanket. Even if I never use it, just knowing it exists makes me feel a little better about driving past 10% battery.
It lowers the psychological barrier to entry. And that is worth its weight in gold for the EV industry. The biggest hurdle right now isn't price anymore, it's anxiety. Anything that kills that anxiety helps the entire ecosystem.
So, looking at this whole picture, we started this conversation talking about a red battery icon and a full on panic attack. We're ending it looking at a service that just says, stay where you are, we'll handle it. It really feels like a maturation of the technology. We're moving out of the pioneer phase where you had to be rough and ready into the civilized phase where services cater to you.
That's a great way to put it. The Wild West of EVs is kind of ending. Now we have infrastructure, we have support services, we have specialized businesses like this one. It's all becoming normal.
Hmm.
And normal is what mass adoption looks like.
It's just interesting that a simple website and a business name can signal that much change. Sacramento Mobile EV Charging Solutions. It is a mouthful, but it says a lot.
It says the future is here, and it delivers.
I want to leave everyone with a thought on this. We've been conditioned for 100 years to think that refueling is a chore. It's a smelly, inconvenient errand you have to run. But services like this suggest that refueling might eventually become invisible. It just happens while you sleep, or while you work, or while you shop.
The best kind of infrastructure is the kind you don't even have to think about.
Exactly. So if the charging station comes to us, do we ever really need to go to get fuel again? Does the gas station model die not because of the engine, but because of the logistics?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question. And looking at Sacramento, the answer just might be yes.
Something to think about the next time you plug in, or the next time someone plugs in for you. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
Stay charged.